Lake Lanier, Georgia's largest reservoir, was created in the 1950 by the completion of Buford Dam. Its sparkling waters now attract millions of visitors each year, but beneath the surface lies a far darker legacy. Since its formation, over 500 people have died in its depths, and even more haunting are the human stories of displaced communities and forgotten histories. This is the story of Lake Lanier's hidden past. Long before the dam, this valley belonged to the Cherokee Nation. In the 1830s, federal authorities forced most Cherokee people out on the Trail of Tears. Decades later, freed African Americans and their descendants settled here. By the early 1900s, a thriving black community had emerged around a village called Oscarville. Its farmers, carpenters, and merchants made a living growing crops and trading along what would become the lake's southern shore. Oscarville was a vibrant black farming town of hundreds of residents. By 1911, local records show about 58 black families owned land here, and over 100 worked as tenant farmers. Children went to church and school, and families farmed cotton and corn on the fertile river bottom. Yet beneath the quiet prosperity, racial tensions simmered. In September 1912, an accusation shattered Oscarville's peace. A young white woman named May Crow was found dead near this very spot, and 4 black men were arrested for the crime. A mob of angry white men dragged one of the suspects into the town square. George Perkle, a local historian, describes what followed. They dragged him around the square and hanged his body on the square. That was a classic lynching. In the days that followed, white night riders torched black churches and homes. Historian records report that they demanded all black residents vacate immediately. As Perkle recounts, families were warned, "If you don't get out of this county, we're going to burn down your house and kill everybody in it." Within weeks, virtually every black man, woman, and child had fled. Contemporary accounts call this violent campaign a racial cleansing. By late 1912, essentially every black person was gone from Forsyth County, including Oscarville. Their farms and businesses were abandoned or stolen. Their churches burned. Oscarville was left a ghost of its former self. By the mid-20th century, Atlanta's water needs and flood control concerns drove Congress to authorize a dam on the Chattahoochee River. On March 1, 1950, ground was broken for Buford Dam. After 6 years of work, a ceremony on February 1, 1956, closed the dam's sluice gates and Lake Lanier began to fill. Over the next 2 years, the reservoir rose to its full height, creating 692 miles of shoreline. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers paid for 56,000 acres of land. In the process, it destroyed more than 50,000 acres of farmland and displaced more than 250 families, 15 businesses, and relocated 20 cemeteries. Fields and orchards where children played became part of the lake bed. Whole communities were swallowed by the water. Oscarville, along with dozens of farms and even small towns, ended up beneath Lake Lanier's surface. As one historian observed, when Lake Lanier was formed in the 1950s, it washed over Oscarville and turned it into an underwater ghost town. This was not a myth. Maps and land records confirm Oscarville's site lies under 70 to 100 feet of water today. Divers and explorers have reported submerged roads, building foundations, and old cemeteries lying on the lake bottom. The Corps moved what structures it could, but many were left behind. According to the Oxford American, the engineers relocated most of the structures. If they couldn't obtain permission to move them, the graves stayed put. Roads, bridges, and some trees were also left behind. In other words, gravestones and houses ended up underwater. One local remembers watching a family home gradually disappear. Each time we went by, the water was up a little higher. The last time, it was up to the roof line. Another resident recalls a frightening moment. Driving along a country road turned to lake. The headlights were just right at the water. The road had gone. By 1958, the transformation was complete. Modern maps of Georgia now depict a great lake where people once lived. With so much history submerged, Lake Lanier became the focus of eerie rumors. Locals soon whispered that the lake was haunted. Some blamed the spirits of graves left underwater, others the souls of the dozens of people who disappeared without a trace. Oxford American notes, legend has it Lake Lanier is haunted by the phantoms of victims whose bodies were never recovered. The most famous legend is the Lady of the Lake. In 1958, two young women, Delia Mae Parker Young and Susie Roberts, drove across the lake and vanished into the night. A year later, fishermen found a body. In 1990, officials discovered the wreck of a 1950s car and Parker Young's remains. By then, locals already told the tale. Witnesses claimed a ghostly girl in a blue dress wandering near the scene. In one chilling retelling, she snatches unsuspecting lakegoers and drags them to the bottom. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the lake's reputation is undeniable. Over the decades, more than 500 people have lost their lives here, drowning or crashing at strange undercurrents and sudden drop-offs. Many point to the submerged trees, silt, and hidden obstacles, or to the old stories, to explain why Lake Lanier has become one of the deadliest lakes in the U.S. Lake Lanier's surface life is peaceful and fun-loving, but the currents of history still run deep. Forsyth County's past has been hard to shake. It's remained effectively all white for decades after 1912. Only after the 1980s did African Americans begin moving back, sometimes amid protests and defiance. Today, there are efforts to remember and honor what happened. As one reporter noted of visiting Lake Lanier, it is this storied past, beginning with the Cherokee removal, to the banishment of black people, to the lake's disembodied souls, that I carry with me whenever I visit.